Greetings everyone, Melderon here. I hope you're all doing well. I hope the queues have lessened, and I sincerely hope that you are enjoying yourselves immensely in Classic Azeroth. I myself am having a ball. I've gotten my Shaman Melderon to level 28 as of the day of this recording, and have met some amazing people along the way. I even had the pleasure of tanking RFC, SFK, and BFD. Needless to say, the ride has been fantastic thus far. However, despite all the good, there is something I would like to address that, at least to me, seems like it doesn't fit in the overall Classic experience. Now, I could be talking about layering here, but that has been promised to be removed in Phase 2, so we'll table that. No, I'm talking about dungeon Cleaves, specifically 8 to 10 man raid Cleaves. I'm sure by now you've probably heard that this type of dungeon grinding awards the highest XP gains per hour on average. Now, don't get me wrong. I love running dungeons, so much so that I regularly will do them more than once, even if I don't have all the quests. However, I do them to supplement my questing grind and to meet and help new people. What I'm talking about here is grinding dungeons the entire way to 60 using a raid group of 8 to 10 people, mostly mages, only breaking to vendor and train. Now, I'll be the last to dictate how people should enjoy their game. If this is fun to you, all power to you. But I do think we are missing something here. It isn't easy to put into words. Instead, I'll pose a question. How is this different from retail WoW? How is this different from mindlessly standing in Orgrimmar or Stormwind smacking the dungeon queue button over and over again? I honestly do not see the difference at all. Sure, there is likely a bit more strategy involved, but how long does that last after memory takes over, pulling the same packs over and over again? We fought for a long time to get this game in a near pure state, and now some of us want to circumvent one of the key aspects of the vanilla experience? Some of us want to rush through and partially ignore the leveling process, one of Classic's most unique systems. Literally a key aspect of what separates Classic from retail. Personally, I don't get it, but let me make this clear. I'm not asking Blizzard to change it. That isn't my place. And in fact, in vanilla, for a time after launch, you could have 40 people in every dungeon. So some may argue this is actually more vanilla-like, and that's a fair point. However, I do plead that at least you think about the ramifications of this type of gameplay. Is this the kind of experience we wanted? I totally understand that the path of least resistance is very attractive to a lot of people. Getting to endgame is important. However, I believe that grinding dungeons and not experiencing the world is antithetical to the Classic WoW experience. Before I leave you, I will discuss a few things that I think will drive the point home. Dungeon grinding just trivializes the content. Dungeons, in my opinion, are supposed to be a challenge and take a significant amount of time. They are a place to chat, discuss strategy, and learn your class. How can you do that if you're just using a limited set of abilities? When that blue piece of gear drops and you win that roll, that should be a moment you remember, not just another piece of loot on your 7th dungeon farm. And perhaps even worse, if the content is trivial and you are speeding through it, there's no need to chat and make new friends. I seem to remember a lot of us complaining that the issue with retail was that no one talks in dungeons. Right, so let's create an environment where that happens in Classic. I don't get it. Finally, how will you meet new people if you continue to group with the same 7 to 8 players over and over again? Part of Classic WoW is making new friends with people you've never met before. I spent 40 hours compiling a video called 2019, A World of Warcraft Classic Odyssey, as a hype trailer for the launch of Classic WoW. While making that video, I just could not believe how beautiful and massive Classic Azeroth is, even after playing it for so many years. The amount of work that went into the questing system, the zones, the NPCs, it is just astounding. Why would you, on purpose, limit your experience to this masterpiece by staying in dungeons? And of course, dungeons are part of that beauty, but how can you actually enjoy it, grouping up mobs and AoEing them down over and over again? Again, we fought to bring the pre-Cataclysm Classic world, with all of its depth and beauty, back from the brink of extinction. Why ignore it? My last point will be important to most of you, but not all. However, those of you playing on PvE realms, let me ask you this. What would it be like if you didn't run into other players as often, whether they were on the same faction or the opposing faction? I'm assuming it would feel pretty weird and non-MMO-like. Now imagine that occurring in a PvP realm, where instead of seeing massive amounts of people running around, getting into countless PvP skirmishes, are dungeon grinding instead. A huge part of the leveling process on a PvP server is engaging in world PvP, making the world feel dangerous and more real. If we spend all our time in dungeons, South Shore vs Terran Mill won't be as iconic. Those times where you get saved at the last second by a friendly heal won't happen as often. Nor will those times you're getting 2v1'd and a rogue pops out of stealth at the right moment to shift the chances in your favor. I realize that it may seem like a Debbie Downer here. Maybe I'm exaggerating the importance of this. If I am, then tell me I am. I honestly don't know, as I'm not privy to how many people are leveling this way. But I will stand by my point that this type of behavior, even if it's used by 5 to 10% of the players, results in 5 to 10% less in-world engagement. And as it gets more popular, maybe even result in more. Are we okay with that as a community? Is this what we fought for? All I ask is that you think about it. Thanks for watching, keep on keybinding and grinding, and I hope to see you in Classic Azeroth.